Hello there everyone, happy new year. I hope you all had a lovely time celebrating, and I wish you all the very best for 2025. In today's video I wanted to talk a little bit about 2024 and my hopes for 2025 with Star Wars Hunters, because 2024 has so far been its biggest year ever. Now many of you may be thinking, well, obviously that's the case, and of course it is, but the game was first announced in 2021 and soft launched in late 2021, so we then did have a 2 to 3 year period where we had updates for the game, but it wasn't necessarily anything huge since we still had absolutely no idea when the game was actually releasing. But thankfully in early 2024 we got a few major updates to the game, as well as an announcement for the launch of the game just before the halfway point in the year. And since its release, which was obviously a big deal, we've now had 3.5 full seasons, as well as a PC playtest and announcement for PC as well. So 2024 was easily the biggest year on record for the game, and hopefully 2025 will be even bigger, and of course it is starting off with an absolute bang. Not this coming weekend, but the next one. So January 10th will actually be the second PC playtest on Steam, with the release of the game in early access but available to everyone on Monday, January 27th, alongside Glickin, who's a new Kubaz damage hunter and a Coruscant underworld map. This to me honestly feels like a bigger deal than the launch of the game at this stage, because PC opens up to a crazy number of potential players. Now before I have spoken about my fears of this PC release, I really hope the game does well on this, and this is my first major hope of 2025. I really want to see a really successful early access launch in January, and their plan is to have a full PC launch later on in the year, about halfway through. So maybe that's when marketing will be a bit more prominent for the PC release of the game. I don't really know. The game is obviously going to be accessible for everyone. It's a free to play game, but if this early access launch isn't as successful as I was hoping, or even Zynga was hoping, then hopefully if they fully launch it later in the year, then that can become more successful, because the game really does have so much potential, as we all know, and I personally really do believe in this game, so fingers crossed that goes well. And speaking of the marketing stuff, I really hope that continues to improve. The beginning of season 4 was really strong in my opinion, and they definitely did get better, especially on the community engagement side of things. But I think the main thing they really need to do is ad spend, honestly. They can do as many swanky trailers as possible, but I feel like at this point people just need to know about the game, and if they can do a bunch of ad spend for several weeks around the time of the PC launch and after, then that could hopefully generate a lot of players coming in, especially if people are seeing free to play Star Wars multiplayer on PC. I feel like that is a really big draw, so fingers crossed that does happen. Now with the PC release being a big focus of the game in 2025, I'm not expecting to see a PlayStation or Xbox port of the game release in this year either, but what I am hoping for is for at least some kind of announcement that the game is going to those platforms at some stage. From what I can remember of the Star Wars Battlefront 2 days, the PlayStation was by far the biggest platform to be on for the game, and so I really think if Hunters came to those platforms, it could be even more of a success, but I suppose it just needs to go well on PC first, because if it doesn't go very well, then Zynga will probably just end things, and obviously we do not want that. Now as for the actual game itself, I naturally want plenty more Hunters maps and game modes to be added to the game. Hopefully some of the limited time modes will become more permanent, like Scrap Salvage for example, or Hut Ball. We still haven't seen Escort return, but I'm really hoping that comes back at some point permanently as well, because I feel like Escort could be a really good staple mode for this game, and I know a lot of people would just really enjoy it. So I'd be quite happy with Hunters going the way they have been, where they add a new map and a new hunter every single season. But even if for the next 2 to 3 seasons in a row they make Hut Ball permanent, Scrap Salvage permanent and Escort permanent, I'd be really happy with that as new game modes, and that would give them plenty of time to then get more content ready for other modes as limited time, or potentially even more permanent ones. But with all that being said, there are a number of features that would be really beneficial for the game. Firstly, private matches would be huge for this game, honestly. Even from a content creation perspective, going into a private match on your own or just with one friend and exploring each map would honestly be so much fun, especially when new maps come out and you want to look for all the new Easter eggs and whatnot. But then also opens the door massively for competitive play, which is something that this game could really benefit from. I personally would love to host a tournament, and we at the Ultimate Hunters really want to run community tournaments on a very regular basis, so adding private matches would actually actually allow us to go ahead and do that properly, as well as many other people doing what they want to do as well. Even some kind of hunters competitive league with different teams and such would be really fun to do as well. That could generate a lot of interest, and especially if there's money involved as well, no doubt plenty of people will want to try and get some cash in their hands. So I really do not see a downside to that happening. It worked great in Star Wars Squadrons when that came out, and I feel like for multiplayer games these days they just need to have private matches to really help them survive. And another core piece of content I really want to see is a guild system. I just think from a community perspective that could be really fun. If you could have up to about 50 people in one guild, that would be great, because I would love to start one and add all of you guys, or as many of you guys in of course as possible. And if there was some guild versus guild systems in place as well, that would be really fun to do. Even if it was just a percentage based thing on wins, I think it would be really fun and really engaging. Because if my guild went against Parallel's guild, for example, you could have us both streaming at the same time competing against each other in some way, even if we're not playing directly against each other, because our guilds are versing each other. I just think that would be really fun. So fingers crossed we get some content like that. No doubt there are many other features that would be great to see added into this game. And right now I am just super excited for the PC release of this game. I really hope it lands as well as I want it to. But let me know in the comments your hopes for Star Wars Hunters in 2025. That is going to be it from me today though. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the force be with you always.